Welcome back to Breakthrough Weekly Podcast. I'm Monica Pelayo. If you've been listening for a while, thank you for being here and for coming back each week. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm really glad you found your way here. Before we get into today's episode, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future conversations. These episodes build on each other, and subscribing helps you stay connected as we go deeper into subconscious pattern, alignments, and real change. All right, let's get into today's episode. There's a moment in your life when you look at everything you've been working towards your career, your finances, your confidence, your relationships, your family, your sense of purpose, the life you're trying to build. And you wonder, why does this still feel so hard? Why does progress feel slow, exhausting, or inconsistent? Why does it feel impossible to have success, wealth, confidence, purpose, balance, and healthy relationships at the same time? Because deep down, you don't just want success on paper. You want a life that feels complete, a life where your work, your relationships, your family, your well-being, and your purpose coexist without constantly stretching to your limits. And if you're honest, you've probably had seasons where it felt like you were doing everything right on the surface, yet nothing seemed to shift underneath. Most people don't realize this, but our lives function a lot like an iceberg. We put almost all of our attention on the top part, the visible part, the goals, the responsibilities, the career demands, the finances, the relationships, the family roles, the expectations, everything we're trying to balance at once. But an iceberg isn't defined by what sits above the water. It's true structure. The part that carries the weight and determines its direction lives far beneath the surface, and your mind works the same way. The part you focus on daily is only a small fraction of what's actually shaping your outcomes. The deeper layers, the ones you rarely see, think about, or remember, are the ones running your patterns, your confidence, your decisions, your relationships, your overall balance. Because most of the time, you're operating on autopilot. The hidden structure, your subconscious, is what shapes everything you experience on the surface. Given most of your energy goes to the top of the iceberg, what ends up happening is you try to improve your habits, you push yourself to be more disciplined, you try to stay motivated, you manage responsibilities and expectations, you juggle work, relationships, and family, you dream of freedom, meaningful experiences, and a life that feels fulfilling. You strive to create balance while still performing at a high level. You're constantly focusing on what's above the water because that's what the world teaches you to prioritize. But even with all that effort, something still feels off. Something isn't shifting the way you expected. Part of you wonders why you're not further ahead by now. And let me tell you, it's not because you're lacking effort. It's not because you're doing something wrong. The truth is simpler. You're focusing your energy on the smallest part of the iceberg. The real weight, the real power lives beneath the surface. Only about 5% of your mind is conscious. That's the part above the water. The other 95% is subconscious. That's the part hidden beneath it. Your subconscious holds your patterns, identity, belief, emotional imprints, interpretation, childhood wiring and conditioning, fears, memories, internal rules, boundaries, sense of worth, sense of safety. This is the part that actually steers your relationships, your money, your decisions, your stress responses, your confidence, your ability to create balance, your connection with family, and your direction of life. You can change goals at the top of the iceberg all day long, but if your subconscious beliefs don't match the life you're trying to build, the underwater part will always pull you back. I lived this for years, even at the height of my professional success. I worked in the CEO office in one of the most high-pressure, high-performance environments you can imagine. For a long time, I didn't realize I had been chasing goals that looked good on paper but felt empty in the body. Everyone around me had big titles. People dreamed of landing the role I was in. I had benefits, stability, strong evaluations, and recognitions. But inside, I felt like I had no purpose. I didn't want to be a CEO admin, even though the role came with the financial security. I just wanted a life where I didn't have to sacrifice my wealth, my energy, my relationships, or myself just to feel valued. I wanted balance, I wanted meaning, I wanted to feel aligned. But no matter what I achieved at the top of the iceberg, something was always off. I felt pulled between achievement and emptiness, success and exhaustion, visibility and confusion, stability and burned out. Now I know why. My subconscious beliefs formed long before I ever stepped into a corporate building or running my life. Beliefs like I have to work hard to be worthy, I have to earn rest, I have to prove my value. Those beliefs did not match the life I was consciously trying to create. And the subconscious always wins. That's why I overworked. That's why I burned myself out. People often believe they're aligned because consciously they want success, abundant confidence, balance, purpose, and healthy relationships, but their actions reveal the conflict at the bottom of the iceberg. They say they want success, but they procrastinate or sabotage progress. They say they want abundance, but their actions swing between survival mode, frugality, or overspending, limiting their ability to receive more. They say they want confidence, but they shrink, hide, or hesitate. They say they want balance, but they overwork, overgive, overextend. They say they want purpose, but they feel lost, disconnected, or uncertain. They say they want healthy relationships, but they repeat the same patterns that hurt their connection. This is not because they don't mean what they say, it is because the subconscious beliefs at the bottom of the iceberg do not match the life they want at the top, and the mind has one primary function: to validate what you believe. You don't need to work harder, you need to work deeper. This is why the work I do today exists. Hypnosis allows you to quiet the conscious mind, the part that judges, analyzes, doubts, and blocks you, so you could access the deeper part of your mind. The part of you that between the ages of 2 and 7 created rooted beliefs without logic, the core interpretations, your identity, the meaning you gave experiences you were too young to understand, the patterns that became automatic, the beliefs that never belonged to you. When you dive beneath the surface, something powerful happens. You see the real reason you have been stuck. You understand why you have been repeating patterns. You identify the belief running your programming. And once you see it, you can change it. Personalized transformation audios reinforce new subconscious instructions. They create new neural pathways that help you build alignment from the deepest part of the iceberg. You're not just thinking new thoughts, you're becoming the version of yourself who matches the life you want. You cannot create work-life balance from the top of the iceberg. You create it from the bottom, where your beliefs about time, worth, and identity live. You cannot create confidence from the top. You create it from the bottom, where your beliefs about being seen and valued live. You cannot create wealth from the top. You create it from the bottom, where your beliefs about safety, receiving, and abundance live. You cannot build healthy relationships from the top. You build them from the bottom, where your beliefs about connection, belonging, and safety live. You cannot find purpose from the top. You find it at the bottom, where your earliest meaning making was formed. When you align the bottom of the iceberg to the top, it becomes easier. Not perfect, but guided by grace and certainty. Alignment replaces force. Clarity replaces confusion. Ease replaces exhaustion. Purpose replaces pressure. Connection replaces strain. You stop fighting, you start flowing. Instead of asking yourself, what do I need to do to reach to the top of the iceberg? Ask, do I truly believe I'm worthy and deserving of what I desire at the top of the iceberg? If the answer is no, ask, what belief at the bottom of my iceberg is keeping me from aligning with the life I want? Once you understand the belief keeping you stuck, you can finally change it. If you're ready to shift the beliefs at the bottom of your iceberg and create true alignment in your life, you can schedule a free discovery call. This call is for individuals who are ready to make meaningful changes. It gives me clarity on your goals, your challenges, and whether we are a strong fit to work together. You can book your free discovery call at thethrivingpathways.com/appointment. The link is also in the show notes. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in a future episode.